This is the story of Mr. Strong. Mr. Strong is the strongest person in the whole wide world. Strongest person that ever has been, and probably the strongest person that ever will be. He is so strong that he can not only bend an iron bar with his bare hands, he can tie knots. Mr. Strong is so strong he can throw a cannonball as far as you or I can throw a tennis ball. Mr. Strong is so strong he can hammer nails into a wall just by tapping with his fingers. Strong by name, and strong by nature. And would you like to know the secret of Mr. Strong's strength? Eggs. The more eggs Mr. Strong eats, stronger he becomes. Stronger and stronger and stronger. Anyway, this story is about a funny thing that happened to Mr. Strong one day. That morning he was having breakfast. And for breakfast he was having egg, followed by eggs, and to finish he was having, guess what? That's right, egg. That was Mr. Strong's normal breakfast. After his eggy breakfast, Mr. Strong cleaned his teeth, and, as usual, he squeezed all the toothpaste out of the tube, and, as usual, he cleaned his teeth so hard, he broke his toothbrush. Mr. Strong get through a lot of toothpaste and toothbrushes. After that, he decided to take a walk. Put on his hat, opened the front door of his house. What a beautiful day. So, stepping outside his house, he shut the front door. The door fell off its hinges. Mr. Strong gets through a lot of front doors. Then Mr. Strong went for his walk. He walked through the woods. But he wasn't looking where he was going, and walked slap bang into a huge tree. Huge tree trunk snapped. The tree thundered to the ground. Whoops, said Mr. Strong. He walked into town. And again, not looking where he was going, he walked slap bang straight to a brick wall. And Mr. Strong, being Mr. Strong, walked straight through that brick wall. Whoops, Mr. Strong. Eventually, Mr. Strong walked through the town, out into the country, to a farm. The farmer met him in the road, looking very worried. What's the matter? Asked Mr. Strong. It's my cornfield. It's on fire, and I can't put it out. Strong looked over the hedge, and sure enough, the cornfield was blazing fiercely. Water, said Mr. Strong. We must get water to put out the fire. But I don't have enough water to put the whole field out, cried the worried farmer. And the nearest water's down to the river. I don't have a pump. Then we'll have to find something to carry the water, cried Mr. Strong. Is that your barn? He asked, pointing to a barn in another field. Yes, I was going to put my corn in it, said the farmer. But can I use it? Asked Mr. Strong. Yes, but no buts. Come on. Mr. Strong walked over to the barn, and do you know what he did? Picked it up. He actually picked up the barn. The farmer couldn't believe his eyes. Then Mr. Strong carried the barn above his head down to the river, and he turned the barn upside down. Then he lowered it into the river so that it filled up with water. Then, and this showed how strong Mr. Strong really, he picked it up and carried it back to the blazing corn. Mr. Strong emptied the upside-down barn full of water over the flames. Sizzle, sizzle, sputter, sputter. 1 minute, the flames were leaping in the air. The next minute, they'd gone. However can I thank you? The farmer asked Mr. Strong. Oh, there's nothing, remarked Mr. Strong modestly. But I must find some way to reward you, said the farmer. Well, said Mr. Strong, you're a farmer, so you must keep chickens. Yes, I do, said the farmer. What? And chickens lay eggs, said Mr. Strong. And I rather like eggs. Then you shall have as many eggs as you can carry, said the farmer, and took Mr. Strong over to the farmyard. Mr. Strong said goodbye to the farmer and thanked him for the eggs. The farmer thanked him for help. Then Mr. Strong, just using one finger, picked up the eggs and went home. Mr. Strong put the eggs carefully down on his kitchen table and went to close the kitchen door. The door fell off its hinges. Whoops! Mr. Strong sat down. Chair fell to bits. Whoops! Mr. Strong started cooking his lunch. And for lunch, he was starting with eggs, followed by an egg or two. He had an egg between eggs, and an egg on the side, and an egg for luck, and then egg. And then for his pudding, he was having, well, can you guess? For his pudding, he was having ice cream. This is a story about Mr. Daydream. You know what he looks like, don't you, because you've seen him beginning. It's also a story about a little boy called Jack. You don't know what he looks like, so here's a picture of him. Now, Jack was a very well-behaved. He always ate up his lunch, he always went to bed when he was told, he always said please and thank you. But Jack was a daydreamer. Whenever he was supposed to be thinking about something, he found himself thinking about something else. Daydream. One day, Jack was at school. He was sitting at his desk, listening to the teacher talking about history. Suddenly, out of the corner of his eye, Jack saw something outside the window, on the grass in front of the school. It was a small, cloud. Believe his eyes. The figure looked at Jack, looking at him, smiled, and waved. Jack looked at his teacher, who was still talking, and he got up, quiet, ever so quiet, and slipped out. He crossed the grass to a strange-looking, cloud-shaped figure. "Hello," he said. "Who are you?" "Oh, I'm Mr. Daydream." "What's your name?" "Jack," said Jack. I'm going off on an adventure," said Jack. "Would you like to come with me?" "Oh, yes, please," replied Jack. "Very well, then." Mr. Daydream, and putting two fingers in his mouth, he let out the loudest whistle Jack had ever heard in his whole life. A huge bird swooped down out of the sky and landed beside Mr. Daydream. "Come on," Mr. Daydream to Jack. Climbed onto the bird's back. Jack climbed on too. It was really an enormous, but there was plenty of room. "Hold on," Daydream. Jack held on tight. The huge bird flapped its huge wings, and suddenly they were high up in the air. They flew over fields and farms and towns and hills and trees and valleys, until they were far, far away from Jack's school. Very exciting. Mr. Daydream turned to Jack. How would you like to go to Africa? No. They were travelling so fast now that Jack just nodded his head and held on even tighter. Suddenly, no time at all, there below them, bird landed in a jungle field. Jack and Mr. Daydream climbed off the bird's back. Very hot. Come on, Daydream to Jack. Let's go and explore. So off they set, pushing their way through the jungle. Suddenly, in the middle of a clearing, they saw an elephant. Hello, Mr. Daydream. The elephant down its trunk. Would you like a lift? Yes, please, cried Mr. Daydream. And the elephant reached out his trunk, picked him up, and then put him on his back. Reached out his trunk again, picked up Jack, and put him on. Very high. The elephant carried them through the jungle until they came to a river. And he set them down on the ground, said, "Bye-bye," went off to the jungle. How are we going to cross the river? Jack asked Daydream. Perhaps I can be of assistance, said a particularly oily voice coming up the river. They looked. There was a crocodile. Use my bag. Just a crocodile. It was very helpful. They were halfway across the river on the crocodile's back when the crocodile grinned a rather nasty grin. All teeth and no smile. Then, flicking his enormous tail and shooting Jack and Mr. Daydream up into the air, the crocodile opened his horribly large mouth and away. It was very frightening. Oh dear, as he looked down at the enormous mouth of his teeth. Oh dear, oh help! Mr. Daydream, upside down beside him, took 2 fingers in his mouth and let out a very large whistle. Suddenly, just as the crocodile's mouth was about to go snap, the big bird swooped down. Mr. Daydream and Jack landed right on the bird's back. Jack. Spoiled again, said the crocodile. Well, I promised you an adventure, didn't I? Mr. Daydream. It certainly did, said Jack. Now, said Mr. Daydream, I think we'll go to Australia. Did. And Jack learned to throw a boomerang. It always came back to him. Now, Mr. Daydream, I think we'll go to the North Pole. They did. Mr. Daydream fell right up to his middle in the snowdrift. And now, said Mr. Daydream, I think we'll go to the Wild West. Did. Mr. Daydream found a huge 10-gallon cowboy hat. The trouble was, when he put it on, he couldn't see out. Yeah. Oh, from underneath the hat. Yeah. Jack. Suddenly, Jack realized that it wasn't Mr. Daydream saying these things. It was his teacher. And Jack wasn't in the Wild West. He was sitting at his school desk. Jack, again, you've been daydreaming. It was true. He had. Or had he? Mr. Fussy was fussy about everything. Absolutely everything had to be neat and tidy and in its proper place. Mr. Fussy spent all day and every day rearranging his furniture and making sure that the flowers grew in a straight line in his garden, and trying to find specks of dust where there couldn't possibly be specks of dust, because he spent all his time making sure that there weren't any specks of dust. One fine morning, Mr. Fussy was having breakfast. He was very fussy about what he ate. He opened the marmalade pot. "Oh," he exclaimed, "it's got bits in it." And he spent the rest of the morning separating the bits from the marmalade. Or, if you prefer, marmalade from the bits. Fussy old Fusspot, people used to call him. Then Mr. Fussy went out into his garden, and he spent the rest of the day straightening out all the blades of grass on his lawn. Fussy old Fusspot. That evening, Mr. Fussy was in his kitchen, ironing his shoelaces, when he heard a crash outside. "What to do?" he murmured to himself, and hurried outside to investigate. There, with a broken garden gate in one hand, and an old battered suitcase in the other, and a sheepish grin on his face, stood an untidy person, Mr. Clumsy. "Whoops," he said, holding up the garden gate. "It came off in my hand." "Who," spluttered Mr. Fussy, looking in horror at his garden gate, "are you?" "Oh, I'm Mr. Clumsy," cried the untidy person, grinning, and he stepped forward to shake Mr. Fussy's hand. He tripped over and fell on the lawn. "My grass! My straight grass! Who bent it?" He got down on his hands and knees and started straightening the grass. "But who are you?" he asked over his shoulder. "Why are you here?" "Oh, I'm your cousin, Blow," cried Mr. Clumsy. "Your long-lost cousin from Australia. I've come to visit." If you look hard, there is a certain family likeness between them, isn't there? "Well, aren't you pleased to see me?" continued Mr. Clumsy cheerfully, knocking over a flower or two as he got up. Picked up his suitcase, knocking over another flower or two, or three. Mr. Fussy quite obviously wasn't pleased to see him. "Oh, you better come in," he muttered. "I say," remarked Mr. Clumsy, looking through the front door of Mr. Fussy's house. "I say, what a neat little place you got here." He stepped inside, pushed over his shoelace. He hopped down, knocked over a chair, dropped the suitcase, and fell in an untidy heap on the floor. "Whoops," he said. Mr. Fussy shut his eyes, and heaved a sigh, and groaned silently to himself. Later that evening, after Mr. Fussy had cooked them a meal, and after Mr. Clumsy had helped with the washing up, 2 broken plates, they sat down to talk. Mr. Fussy sat as he always did, in a neat and tidy fashion. Mr. Clumsy sat as he always did, in a not so neat and tidy fashion. "How long are you staying?" asked Mr. Fussy. "Oh, I don't know," said Mr. Clumsy. "Few days, week, year, haven't decided." He groaned a long, silent groan to himself. And they went to bed. When he woke in the morning, Mr. Fussy jumped out of bed and went into his bathroom. Oh no, he gasped. "Oh, no!" "Oh, yes." Mr. Clumsy had been there before him. The towels lay in a heap on the floor. The bath was full of water. There were pools of water all over the bathroom floor. Half a tube of toothpaste had been squeezed out onto the mirror. What a mess! Mr. Fussy made it all neat and tidy as quickly as he could. Then he hurried downstairs. "Morning," said his cousin cheerfully. "I've cooked your breakfast. Sit down." He went, "Oh, there we are. Breakfast." Mr. Clumsy, carrying a plate of fried eggs, broke fried eggs, towards the table. And then he tripped over those shoelaces of his, and then the eggs flew through the air, and they landed all over Mr. Fussy. Sticky, greasy, yellow, fried eggs. "Whoops," said Mr. Clumsy. After a week, Mr. Fussy's house didn't look like Mr. Fussy's house anymore. It could be. But after 2 weeks, Mr. Clumsy decided to move on. "Well, thanks for having me, sport," said Mr. Fussy. It was very nice to see you, replied Mr. Fussy politely. What he was thinking was not so polite. It's very nice to see you going, was what he was thinking. Well, cheerio, said Mr. Clumsy. And off he went, in his battered old suitcase. Bye, said Mr. Fussy. Really, good riddance. Then Mr. Fussy fussed round his house as he'd never fussed before. So fussed off. That evening, Mr. Fussy was in his kitchen, polishing an egg. He heard a crash outside. Oh, no, he groaned. Oh, not Mr. Clumsy back again. It can't. It isn't. And it wasn't. It was somebody else. Somebody who just walked straight through Mr. Fussy's garden gate. Somebody who can't help having little accents. Somebody you may have met before. Hello! Smiled Mr. Bump. I've come to visit. I thought I'd bump into you again sometime. Bump into you. Poor Mr. Worry. Whatever happened, he worried about it. If it rained, he worried that his roof was going to leak. If it didn't rain, he worried that all the plants in his garden were going to die. If he set off shopping, he worried that the shops would be shut when he got there. And when the shops weren't shut when he got there, he worried that he was spending too much money shopping. When he got home with his shopping, he worried that he'd left something behind, or something had fallen out of his basket on the way home. And when he got home and discovered that he hadn't left anything behind, and that nothing had fallen out of his basket on the way home, he worried that he'd bought too much. And then he worried about where to put it all. Life was just one long worry for poor Mr. Worry. One day, he went for a walk. He was worried that he might walk too far and not be able to get home. But, on the other hand, he was worried that if he didn't walk far enough, he wouldn't get enough exercise. He hurried along worrying. Or, you could say, he worried along hurrying. He met Mr. Bump. Hey, I'm very worried about you, he said. Why's that? Asked Mr. Bump. I'm worried that one of these days you might hurt yourself. Don't you worry your head about that, replied Mr. Bump, and went off, tripping over his own feet. Mr. Worry went on. He met Mr. Noisy. Hey, I'm very worried about you, he said. Why is that? Well, I'm worried that you might lose your voice, said Mr. Worry. Don't you worry your head about that, Mr. Noisy, and went off. Clump, 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 clump. Mr. Worry went on. He met Mr. Greedy. Hey, I'm very worried about you, he said.
Oh, why's that? Asked Mr. Greedy.
Well, I worried that you might eat too much and be sick.
Explained Mr. Worry. Me?
Cried Mr. Greedy.
Eat too much? Oh, impossible. He went off for lunch. Mr. Worry went on. He met a wizard. Hello, said the wizard. Who are you?
I'm Mr. Worry.
And you're looking, commented the wizard. I tell you what, he went on, for he was a helpful sort of wizard. Why don't you go home and write down every single thing that you're worried about, and I'll make sure that none of these things will ever happen. Then you won't have anything to worry about, will you? Mr. Worry smiled. It was the first time he'd smiled in a long time. In fact, it was the first time he'd smiled that year. He hurried home, great excitement. When he got home, he sat down to write out all the things that worried. Every single thing. The long list. And then he went to bed and had the best night's sleep he'd had in years. Following morning, the wizard came round to collect Mr. Worry's list. My goodness me. He saw the size of it. However, he said, leave it to me. I'll go off and make sure that none of these things will ever happen. And off he went. Nothing to worry about now, called over his shoulder. Nothing at all. Mr. Worry heaved a sigh of relief. That day was the first day in Mr. Worry's life that he didn't have a single thing to do. And the next day, and the day after, and the day after that. On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Mr. Worry didn't have a care in the world. But on Monday morning, he was a worried man. Oh dear. What do you think was worrying? Can you guess? He went to see the wizard. Oh dear, said the wizard when he saw him standing on his doorstep. What's worrying you now?
I'll tell you,
said Mr. Wizard.
I'm worried because I don't have anything to worry about.
And he went home to worry.
Mr. Uppity was one of the rudest people in the world, if not the rudest. He was rude to anybody and everything. So, of course, in Big Town, which is where he lived, he had no friends, not one. Miserable old uppity, Mr. called him, and he certainly looked it. Now, as well as being rude, Mr. Uppity was also rich. Very. One of the richest people in the world, if not the richest. He had the largest, longest limousine in Big Town. He had the largest, longest garden in Big Town. He had, on the top of a hill in the middle of Big Town, the most enormous house. The biggest house in Big Town. And there he lived, all alone, miserable old Uppity. One day, Mr. Uppity was walking in the gardens of his enormous house, when suddenly he heard a voice. Hello! Mr. Uppity looked, and there, in one of his hundreds of flower beds, was a goblin. Are you not going to say hello to me? Said the goblin. Go away, Mr. Uppity. Oh, I know who you must be, said the goblin. You must be Mr. Uppity, who's rude to everybody. Said Mr. Uppity rudely. Well, we know somebody who wants to meet you, said the goblin, and he skipped off, the way goblins do. Mr. Uppity's curiosity. He followed. In there, said the goblin, pointing to the small hole in the tree. Don't be silly, said Mr. Uppity. Oh, I'm not being silly, said the goblin. Yes, you are, said Mr. Uppity. I can't possibly get in there. Smiled the goblin. And then he said a magic word, known only to goblins. It sounded like wobbling something. Suddenly, Mr. Uppity started shrinking. He shrank and he shrank until he was exactly the same size as the goblin. Turn me back to my proper size at once. I shan't. And so saying, the goblin climbed through the hole into the tree. Poor Mr. Uppity didn't know what to do, so he followed it. Inside the tree, there was a staircase going down and down. It led directly to the kingdom of the goblins. I demand to be taken immediately to whoever is in charge. So you shall. So you shall. And he led Mr. Uppity through the streets of the kingdom of the goblins until they came to a palace. The goblin and Mr. Uppity passed through the gates and into a courtyard and through some more gates, along a long corridor and through some large gold doors and into a huge room. And there, sitting on a gold throne, was the king. Your Majesty, said the goblin, bowing low, may I present Mr. Uppity? Ah, said the king. So you're the fellow who goes about being rude to everybody, doesn't have any friends. Rubbish, Mr. Uppity rudely. I can see that what I have heard is true, said the king, looking at the indignant Mr. Uppity. You're much too puffed up with your own importance. Therefore, he continued, I'm going to allow you to turn back to your proper size. When you get back to Big Town, if you're rude to anybody at all, you will immediately shrink to the size you are now. Do you understand? The goblin then took Mr. Uppity back through the kingdom of the goblins, up the staircase, and out of the tree at the bottom of Mr. Uppity's garden. The goblin looked at Mr. Uppity and said something which sounded like and Mr. Uppity grew and grew back to his original size. Now, you remember what the king said, warned the goblin. Don't you be so uppity in future. Mr. Uppity mouthed off furiously up to his enormous house. The following day, Mr. Uppity was out walking through the streets of Big Town. Suddenly, he came across a little boy playing with a ball. Get out of my way, said Mr. Uppity. But as soon as he'd said it, you know what happened, don't you? Yes, Mr. Uppity shrank and shrank until he was no bigger than the ball the boy was playing with. Oh, dear, he gasped, and he thought. I'm sorry, he said. What I meant to say was, please got to get fast. Immediately, after moving two times, the boy moved, and Mr. Uppity went on his way. Then he met an old lady carrying a large shuffle basket. Excuse me, she said to Mr. Uppity. Will you tell me the time? No. But
As soon as he'd said it, you know what happened, don't you? Oh, dear, he gasped. And then he thought. I'm sorry, he said fearfully. What I meant to say was, it's 25 past 11. Immediately, Mr. Uppity grew to his original size, and the old lady thanked him, and Mr. Uppity went on his way. Then he went and bought a newspaper from a man standing on the corner of the main street of the town. He was just about to walk away when suddenly he stopped him. Turned back to the man and said, "Thank you." Thank you was a word Mr. Uppity had never used before. The man smiled. Smile was something Mr. Uppity wasn't used to getting. Thank you was a word Mr. Uppity not only had never used before, but it was a word he'd never had said to him. Mr. Uppity smiled. He felt happy. Happy was a feeling Mr. Uppity wasn't used to feel. He liked it. And do you know, from that day forward to this day back, Mr. Uppity is a changed person. He's still the richest person in Big Town, perhaps the richest person in the world. Now he has lots of friends. He smiles a lot. He never did much drink. And do you know which two words Mr. Uppity uses most of all these days? Please and thank you. Mr. Dizzy was, to be quite honest, not very clever. If you were to ask Mr. Dizzy what was the opposite of black, he'd say, the opposite of black is, pink. He lived in a house on a hill, which he built himself. A not very clever house. One of Mr. Dizzy's problems was that he lived in a country where everybody else was terribly clever. Clever land. Even the birds were clever in Cleverland. Everything and everybody in Cleverland was clever. You'll never see a worm reading a book anywhere else. Cleverland. Poor Mr. Dizzy. Everything around him was so clever that it made his head spin. One morning Mr. Dizzy was out for a walk and he met a pig. What's big and has big ears and fun? Said the clever pig, Dizzy. A mouse, said Mr. Dizzy. Pig laughed sarcastically at Mr. Dizzy and went off, shaking his head. Then Mr. Dizzy met an elephant, a clever elephant. What's small and furry and likes cheese? The elephant asked cleverly. A pig, replied Mr. Dizzy. The clever elephant laughed down his trunk. A pig, you silly man. Off he went. Poor Mr. Dizzy. Mr. Dizzy decided he didn't want to talk to anybody else that day, so he went for a walk in the wood where he knew that he wouldn't meet him. He felt very miserable about not being clever, and as he walked along, a tear trickled down his cheek. Poor Mr. Dizzy. Then, in the middle of the wood, he came across a well. Little did Mr. Dizzy know that it was a wishing well. The day was warm, and so he decided to take a drink of water from the well. Mr. Dizzy drank deeply, but he was still unhappy. Oh, I do wish I could be clever, Little did Mr. Dizzy know that whoever drinks deeply from the water at the wishing well, his wish will come true. And Mr. Dizzy had wished that he could be clever, and his wish had come true. He was clever. He didn't know it. Not yet. On the way home, Mr. Dizzy came across the elephant and the pig he had met earlier. They were telling each other about how they'd made Mr. Dizzy look silly by asking him a question he couldn't answer. They were giggling and sniggering about it. When they saw Mr. Dizzy approaching from the wood. "Oh, here he comes again," giggled the clever pig. Let's ask him another question," sniggered the clever elephant. Mr. Dizzy came up. "Tell us," said the clever pig, trying to keep a straight face. What's white and woolly and goes baa?"
"Why, a sheep, of course,"
replied Mr. Dizzy. How could the elephant have made? To tell the truth, so too was Mr. Dizzy. He suddenly felt very, very clever. And it was a not unpleasant feeling. "Tell us," said the clever elephant, "what has 4 legs, a tail, and goes woof?"
"Well, that's easy,"
replied Mr. Dizzy.
"A dog, of course."
The clever pig and the clever elephant didn't understand how Mr. Dizzy had become so clever in one morning. Mr. Dizzy couldn't understand how he'd become so clever in one morning. But you know how he'd become so clever in one morning, don't you?
"Now, let me ask you a question."
Mr. Dizzy. "You?" grunted the pig rudely. "You? Ask me a question? Never ridiculous. There's no question you could ask me that I couldn't answer."
"Really?"
smiled Mr. Dizzy.
"Well then, can you tell me what's fat and pink and goes a tissue, a tissue?"
"What's fat and pink and goes tissue, tissue?" repeated the pig, looking worried. "There's nothing that's fat and pink and goes tissue, tissue."
"Nothing, eh?"
said Mr. Dizzy, and he tickled the pig's nose. "Tissue, tissue," sneezed the pig.
"The answer is you,"
said Mr. Dizzy.
"You are fat and pink, and you're going a tissue, a tissue."
Looked down right, if not down left, miserable. Mr. Dizzy turned to the elephant, who, incidentally, had stopped sniggering.
"Now,"
said Mr. Dizzy,
"let me ask you a question. What's large and goes dobbit, dobbit?"
"It's large and goes dobbit, dobbit," repeated the elephant, looking worried. "There's nothing that's large and goes dobbit, dobbit."
"Oh, yes, there is.
grinned Mr. Dizzy,
There certainly is something that's large and goes dobbit, dobbit."
and he tied a jumbo knot in the clever elephant's trunk.
"Stop it! Stop it!"
cried the elephant, who wanted to say, stop it, but couldn't talk properly with a knot in his trunk. Mr. Dizzy grinned and went home. Mr. Topsy-Turvy was a funny sort of fellow. Everything about him was either upside down or inside out, back to front, topsy-turvy. It was all very extraordinary.
To give you some idea of how topsy-turvy Mr. Topsy-Turvy was, you ought to see his house. The front door is upside down to start, and the curtains hang upside down at the windows. And just look at that chimney. All very extraordinary. Inside is the same. Let's look at that clock standing on Mr. Topsy-Turvy's mantelpiece. Isn't that the topsy-turviest clock you've ever seen? And just look at the way Mr. Topsy-Turvy reads a book. Not only does he read it upside down, but he starts to read it at the back page. And just look where Mr. Topsy-Turvy puts the stamp when he sends a letter to someone. Have you ever seen anything like it? Now, this story is all about the time Mr. Topsy-Turvy came to the town where you and I live. Nobody's quite sure how Mr. Topsy-Turvy got there, or where he came from. But he did arrive because somebody saw him getting off the train. The trouble was, he did it in a topsy-turvy way. It really isn't all that surprising, is it? Mr. Topsy-Turvy went to a hotel to find a room to spend the night. The hotel manager tried not to smile when he saw Mr. Topsy-Turvy walk into his hotel carrying his suitcase upside down and with his topsy-turvy hat on his head. "Good afternoon, sir," he said. "Can I help you?" Now, something you didn't know about Mr. Topsy-Turvy is the way he speaks. You see, he sometimes gets things the wrong way round. "Afternoon, good," said Mr. Topsy-Turvy to the hotel manager. I'd room a light." The manager scratched his head. "You mean you'd like a room?" he asked. "Please, yes," replied Mr. Topsy-Turvy. Eventually, the hotel manager managed to work out what Mr. Topsy-Turvy was talking about, and he was taken up in the lift to a bedroom. Then Mr. Topsy-Turvy unpacked his suitcase, put on his pyjamas, and went to bed. He was rather tired after travelling from wherever he'd come from. The following day, Mr. Topsy-Turvy went round the town. But what a fuss is going round the town for. He took a taxi from the hotel, but so confused the taxi driver trying to tell him where he wanted to go, the four men drove straight into a traffic light. "Oh, dear," said Mr. Topsy-Turvy. "I am sorry, that is." Then he went into a big department store in the middle of the town. Walked up to one of the counters. "I'd like a sock of pear," he said to the lady behind the counter. "You mean a pair of socks?" she smiled, and showed him a pair of bright red socks. Mr. Topsy-Turvy put them on his hands. Then he tried to leave. But being Mr. Topsy-Turvy, he tried to walk down the up escalator, and all the people who were going up the up escalator all fell over themselves. Oh, it was a terrible topsy-turvy jumble. That day, Mr. Topsy-Turvy did all sorts of topsy-turvy things. Then he went to an art gallery and insisted on hanging all the pictures upside down so that you could look at them properly. And then, after Mr. Topsy-Turvy had been in the town for just one day, he disappeared. Nobody knew how he went, where he went. He certainly went because he wasn't there anymore. The whole town breathed a sigh of relief. But what the town discovered, even though Mr. Topsy-Turvy had left, was that everything was still topsy-turvy. Read all it about, shouted the newspaper salesman. Instead of shouting, read all about it. News is the here, said the television newsreader. Instead of saying, here is the news. Morning good, people started saying to each other when they met him. Do you how? Instead of, how do you do? Everybody was talking topsy-turvy. Now can you think of something to say that's topsy-turvy? Try on, Lowe. Go on, try. Poor Mr. Muddle just couldn't get anything right. Everything he did, everything he tried, everything he said was muddled. Totally, utterly, completely and absolutely muddled. Imagine, for instance, something as simple as hammering a nail for war. Now, what could get muddled with hammering a nail for war? Mr. Muddle could get it muddled, and frequently did. Imagine, for instance, something as simple as putting on your coat. Now, what could get muddled with putting on your coat? Well, see for yourself. Only Mr. Muddle could put his coat on like that. Imagine, for instance, something as simple as going for a walk. Now, what could get muddled about going for a walk? Well, when your legs start walking one way, and you start walking the other, that's a very muddly sort of walk. Poor Mr. Muddle, walking one way and going another. Now, you'd probably like to know where Mr. Muddle lives. In a house by the sea, near a place called Seatown. Mr. Muddle's house was supposed to be in the country, but Mr. Muddle, who built the house himself, had got the place muddled up. Poor. This story starts one afternoon when Mr. Muddle is having his breakfast. Yet we know you don't have breakfast in the afternoon. Which you do if you get your meal times muddled up. Mr. Muddle was having bread and butter and jam and a cup of tea with milk and sugar. He spread the butter on the table, then spread the jam on the plate, then poured the milk on the bread, and then filled the cup with sugar, and then poured the tea on the bread. What a terribly muddly mixed-up breakfast. That afternoon, after breakfast, he went for a walk down the beach near his house in order to work up an appetite for supper. Met an old fisherman called George, who knew quite well. "Afternoon, Mr. Muddle," said George. "Evening," cried Mr. Muddle. George smiled. "How'd you like to come fishing with me?" "Yeah." Oh, no, please," replied Mr. Muddle eagerly. "Help me push the boat out from the beach," called George. "Right-o," said Mr. Muddle, and pulled the boat further up on.
Oh, Mr. Muddle,
said George, and had to show Mr. Muddle the difference between pulling and pushing. However, eventually, somehow or other, they managed to get the boat out to sea.
Now, let's face,
said George, dropping the fishing line over the side of the boat.
Right-ho,
said Mr. Muddle, and dropped himself over the side of the boat.
Oh, Mr. Muddle,
said George again. It wasn't any good. They didn't catch any fish, so they decided to go home before it became dark.
Help me pull the boat up onto the beach,
called George.
Right-ho,
said Mr. Muddle, and pushed the boat back into the water. George was just about to say, "Oh, Mr. Muddle," again, but he had an idea. He smiled to himself.
Help me push the boat out into the sea,
George called.
Right-ho,
said Mr. Muddle, and pulled the boat up on the beach.
Well done, Mr. Muddle,
said George. Mr. Muddle smiled a smile and went home. George smiled a smile and went to tell everybody. The following day in Seatown, Mr. Brick, the builder, asked Mr. Muddle to hold his coat for him.
Right-ho,
said Mr. Muddle, and held his ladder for him, which is what Mr. Brick really wanted.
Well done, Mr. Muddle,
smiled Mr. Brick, who'd been talking to George. Mr. Muddle was very pleased. Then Mrs. Scrub at the laundry asked Mr. Muddle to pass her the soap.
Right-ho,
said Mr. Muddle, and passed her clothes bag, which is what Mrs. Scrub really wanted.
Well done, Mr. Muddle,
smiled Mrs. Scrub, who'd also been talking to George. Mr. Muddle was extremely pleased. And then Mr. Black, the coalman, asked Mr. Muddle to lift a sack of coal down from his lorry.
Right-ho,
said Mr. Muddle, and lifted the sack of coal up onto the lorry, which is what Mr. Black really had wanted all along.
Well done, Mr. Muddle,
smiled Mr. Black. George had talked to everybody. Mr. Muddle was delighted. In fact, Mr. Muddle was so delighted that he decided to go home and cook himself a large meal to celebrate. Roast turkey, peas, potatoes, and gravy. He put the turkey in the cupboard to cook. He peeled the peas. He put the potatoes in the refrigerator to boil. And then, do you know what he did? He tried to slice the gravy.
Oh, Mr. Muddle,
Mr. Mean lived up to his name. He lived in what could have been a nice house, but wasn't. He never painted it, or mended the windows, or repaired the roof. Inside it was the same. No carpets, no curtains, no pictures, no fires. And Mr. Mean was so mean he made his furniture out of old orange boxes and then complained about the price of nails. Why, he was so mean. Do you know what he gave his brother for Christmas last year? A piece of coal. It wasn't as if Mr. Mean didn't have any money.
Oh, no. He had lots of money. But would he spend it? Not old meanie. Not if he could help it. One day he was sitting in his gloomy kitchen, having a gloomy meal, when there was a knock at the door. Drat, he said, as he didn't like people. Drat and bother. He opened the door, and there on his doorstep stood a wizard. A rather fat wizard.
Hello,
said the wizard.
I wonder if, by any chance, in such a warm day, you could possibly, if it's not too much trouble, be so kind as to, if it's not inconvenient, perhaps, as I'm very thirsty, provide me with, do you think, a glass, if it's not too much to ask, of water, please.
He was very wordy, wizard. No, replied Mr. Mean rudely, and shut the door in his face. How did you get in?
Well,
replied the wizard.
How shall I put it? I just, waved the old what's-his-name magic wand, don't you know, and then, here I am, if you know what I mean. You must be very poor,
he remarked kindly, looking round. Oh, yes, I am, replied Mr. Mean.
Then, perhaps I can help you,
said the wizard, pulling up a box to sit down on. The box didn't move, so the wizard pulled it harder, and this time it did move. In fact, it tipped up and spilled Mr. Mean's money all over the floor.
Well. It would appear to me that you, sir, are an old meanie.
Mr. Meany didn't hear him. He was too busy scrambling all over the floor trying to pick up his money.
And meanies need to be taught a lesson.
And so saying, he waved his magic wand. All the money turned into potatoes. Potatoes!
Oh dear, oh dear me, please turn my money back into money. Oh, please.
Perhaps,
replied the wizard.
But on the other hand, taking all this into account, by and large, things being what they are, on the face of it, perhaps not. However,
continued the worthy wizard,
if you make me a solemn promise, never to meet again, then I'll turn the potatoes back into money. But,
he added sternly,
if you are ever mean again, then it's, how shall I put it, then it's potatoes for you, my lad, if not other vegetables as well.
The following day, Mr. Mean decided to walk to town. He never took the bus, because that cost money. On the way, he met an old washerwoman carrying an enormous bundle of washing. Oh, please, kind sir, he said. Could you possibly help me to carry this washing? It's so heavy. No, replied Mr. Mean. It's your washing. You carry it. But, as soon as he'd said that, he felt a tingling in his nose. Mr. Mean's nose turned into a carrot.
Oh no!
The old washerwoman chuckled. And then Mr. Mean remembered the wizard's words. Yes, oh yes, he cried in a panic. Of course I'll help you, of course. And the carrot turned back into a nose, and off he went. The old washerwoman chuckled again, and turned back to the wizard. It had been him all along, you see. Then Mr. Mean passed by a cottage garden. In the garden there was an old man chopping wood.
Excuse me, he called. Could you give an old man a bit of a hand?
No, it's your wood. You chop it. But as soon as the words had passed his lips, guess what happened? His ears turned into tomatoes.
Oh no!
He gasped. The old man chuckled. Mr. Mean remembered the wizard's words. Oh, yes, he cried. Well, yes, of course I'll give you a hand, of course. And he chopped and chopped until all the wood was cut. And the tomatoes turned back into ears. Off he went. Eventually, Mr. Mean arrived in the town. There was a little boy crying because his ball got stuck on the top of the wall.
Oh, please, sir, could you pick my ball down for me?
No, thought Mr. Mean. Your ball, you... He stopped. There was a funny tingling feeling in his feet. Yes, he said hurriedly. Yes, of course I will, of course. And he reached up and passed the ball to the boy and went on his way. looking anxiously at his feet. The little boy stopped crying and turned into the wizard.
I think
He said to himself,
there must be my large is beginning, if I'm not very much mistaken, to be not quite sweet. And I think, although I could be wrong, although I never am, that he has, thank goodness, learned his lesson.
And you know something? Mr. Bean had learned his lesson. Today, he's nothing like so mean as he used to be, and he doesn't keep his money in a box in the kitchen anymore. Today, his house is mended and painted, spick and span, and he's turned into quite a generous sort of fellow. Goodness, he's so generous. Do you know what he gave his brother last Christmas? 2 pieces of gold. Mr. Nosey liked to know about everything that was going on. He was always poking his nose into other people's business. Mr. Nosey was the sort of person who, if he came upon a locked door, couldn't resist looking through the keyhole to see why the door had been locked. Mr. Nosey was the sort of person who, if he found an unopened letter addressed to somebody else, would simply have to open it to find out what was inside. Mr. Nosey was the sort of person who, if he was sitting reading his paper on a train, would much rather read the paper of the person sitting next to him. Naturally, as you might well imagine, Mr. Nosey was not very proper. People did not like the way in which Mr. Nosey would peep and pry into their affairs. They did not like it at all. But did that stop Mr. Nosey peeking and prying? It did not. Mr. Nosey lived in a funny, tall, thin house in a place called Tittletown. The people of Tittletown decided that Mr. Nosey was becoming much too nosy. So they held a meeting to discuss what to do about it.
We must find some way of stopping him being so nosy,
said old Mr. Chips, the town carpenter. That's right, said Mrs. Swasher, who ran the Tittletown laundry. He needs to be taught a lesson. If only we could think of a way to stop him poking his nose into everything, said Mr. Brush, faintly. And then a small smile spread over his face. Listen, he said, grinning. I have a plan. All his friends gathered round to listen to his plan. The following morning, Mr. Nosey was out walking along Tittletown High Street when he heard somebody whistling behind one of the closed doors. I wonder what's going on here, he thought to himself, and tiptoeing up to the door, quietly opened it and peeped in. Splash went a very wet paintbrush right on the end of Mr. Nosey's nose, covering it with bright red paint. Oh dear, I am so sorry, said Mr. Brush, who was painting the inside of the door. Poor Mr. Nosey had to go straight home and try to remove the red paint. Very difficult and rather painful. Mr. Brush chuckled to himself. The plan had begun. The following day, Mr. Nosey was walking past the laundry when he heard someone laughing on the other side of the room. I wonder what's going on here, he thought to himself. And, standing on tiptoe, he looked over the wall. Snap! Went a clothes peg, right on the end of Mr. Nose's nose. Oh dear! Oh, I am sorry, said Mrs. Watson, who was hanging up clothes on a washing line on the other side of the wall. Poor Mr. Nosey removed the clothes peg and went off down the street feeling extremely sorry for himself and for his poor red nose. Mrs. Watson chuckled to herself. The plan was working. The next day, Mr. Nosey was going past a fence when he heard hammering. I wonder what's going on here, he thought to himself. Creeping very quietly to the end of the fence, he peeped round. Bang! Went a hammer right on the end of Mr. Nosey's nose.
Oh dear. Oh, I am sorry,
said old Mr. Chips, who was nailing up a loose plank in the fence. Poor Mr. Nosey had to go home immediately and bandage his poor red sore nose. Mr. Chips grinned a broad grin. The plan was working very well indeed. The following day, Mr. Nosey was walking in the woods when he heard someone sawing wood. I wonder what's going on here, he thought to himself. He crept up behind a tree. He was just about to peer out from behind the tree when it suddenly occurred to him that if he did, something very nasty might happen to his nose. And so he went on his way without being nosy. Behind the tree, with a saw raised in his hand, stood Mr. Herd, the farmer. When he saw that Mr. Nosey had gone on his way without being nosy, he laughed and laughed and laughed. The plan had worked. Mr. Herd hurried off into the crowd to tell it. The plan really had worked, because after that Mr. Nosey stopped being nosy and soon became very good friends with everybody in the town. And that really is the end of the story, except to say that if you were ever tempted to be as nosy as Mr. Nosey used to be, better expect one thing, a very sore nose. Mr. Chatterbox was one of those people who simply couldn't stop talking. He used to talk to anybody and everybody about anything and everything, going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And when he didn't have anybody else to talk to, he used to talk to himself. Morning, Mr. Chatterbox. Morning to you, replied himself. Nice day, isn't it? Yes, this is the time of the year. And so on, and on. He lived in a box-shaped house in a village. Chatterbox Cottage. One morning, the postman arrived with a letter for him. "Morning, Mr. Chatterbox," said the postman. "Oh, good morning, to postman," replied Mr. Chatterbox. Although, as I was saying to myself only yesterday, or was it the day before, I forget. However, it's not quite so good a morning, in my opinion, but I might be wrong, although I'm not very often, as it was the other day. Monday, or perhaps it's Tuesday. Never mind. Because it is quite a good morning, don't you agree? Well, yes, of course, because that's what you said to me in the first place. And he went on and on and on all the morning. And the poor postman was late delivering all his letters. That afternoon, Mr. Chatterbox went into the hat shop in the village. "Hello, Mr. Bowler," he said to the man who owned the hat shop. "Do you think if it's possible that I could buy, if it's not too expensive, and I'm sure it will be, a new hat? Because it would be a bit worried, what you. But anyway, as I was saying, my present hat, the one on my head, as you can see, is getting, how can I put it, a little too old. Because I've had it for, let's see now, it's been 10 years? No, I tell a lie, it can't be that long. Or can it? Well, yes, it could be. On the other hand, he went on all the afternoon, half the night. Long after poor Mr. Bowler should have shut up shop and gone home. Eventually, when Mr. Bowler managed to get a word in edgeways, or was it sideways, he promised to order a new hat for Mr. Chatterbox. And he pushed Mr. Chatterbox out of his shop, still talking, of course, and went home for his supper, which was cold. So Mrs. Bowler cooked it for him hours ago. And while he ate, he thought. Exactly 1 week later, the new hat for Mr. Chatterbox arrived. The postman delivered it to Mr. Bowler's shop. At last, said Mr. Bowler, heaving a sigh of relief. I think this hat is going to be the answer to the problem of Mr. Chatterbox talking so much. Oh, I wish it could be, said the postman. How can it? Because, replied Mr. Bowler, this hat is a magic hat. Oh, replied the postman, who didn't quite understand. That same afternoon, Mr. Bowler took the new hat round to Chatterbox Cottage. "Oh, goody," said Mr. Chatterbox, seizing the hat box and opening it. "It's my new hat, my lovely new hat. Oh, I couldn't wait for it to arrive. In fact, I got up early this morning because, aren't I silly? I just knew, I don't know how, but I really knew, that today would be the day. I don't know how I knew, but I knew. And it is. Here is my hat. Oh, isn't it beautiful? I can't wait to try it on. Oh, it suits me. Do you think it will? Of course it will. And why don't you try it on?" said Mr. Bowler. "Try it on? But yes, of course I must try it on. I'll sit up and stand here chattering, but I haven't even tried it on yet. Yes, I will, absolutely, definitely. Try it on straight away. But anyway, because as I said, it's silly just to talk about trying it on, isn't it? And then not to try it on, isn't it? And so, he took the hat out of the box and put it on. It was a beautiful hat. I must say, yes, I really must. This hat is, really, to say the least, one of the best hats I've ever seen in my life. And in my life, I must say, I've seen some hats. Trilby's, bowlers, deerstalkers, balloons, fedoras, homburgs, hoppers, toppers. But while he was talking, a funny thing was happening. The more words that came out of Mr. Chatterbox's mouth, the larger his hat became. The more Mr. Chatterbox talked, the more the hat grew and grew. Mr. Chatterbox kept on talking, and the hat kept on growing. "I can't see anything," he said. "One minute I was standing here looking at my new hat in the mirror, and now all of a sudden, without my warning, taking me all unawares, just like that, the hat grew down to his feet." And Mr. Chatterbox stopped talking. And as soon as he stopped talking, the hat grew smaller and smaller until it was the same size as when he first tried it on. Mr. Bowler was delighted. "My special magic hat really works," he chuckled. The following day, Mr. Chatterbox was out for a walk when he met the postman in the village. "Hello, postman," he said. "I say, do you like my new hat? We've seen some fine hat. I'm sure we'll never have. What a hat," he wrote. But you know what was happening, don't you? The hat grew and grew and grew the more Mr. Chatterbox talked. "Oh, now I know what Mr. Bowler meant by a magic hat," chuckled the postman. and he went on his way, leaving poor Mr. Chatterbox speechless. Thinking. Not talking. Thinking. And you know something? That hat taught Mr. Chatterbox his lesson. And these days I don't talk half as much as I used to do, or even a quarter as much, or even a half or a quarter as much. In short, I talk less. And you know the reason for that, don't you? Yeah, of course you do. But keep it under your hat. Mr. Noisy was a very, very noisy person indeed. For example, if Mr. Noisy was reading this story, he'd be shouting at the top of his voice. And the top of Mr. Noisy's voice is a very loud place indeed. You can hear it 100 miles away. For example, when most people sneeze, you can hear them in the next room. But, shoo! When Mr. Noisy sneezes, you can hear him in the next country. Now, this story starts when Mr. Noisy was asleep in bed. In his bedroom, in his house, which is on top of a hill. He was snoring. And, as you can well imagine, when Mr. Noisy snores, that is a snore worth hearing. It sounds more like a herd of elephants when you snore. Then Mr. Noisy's alarm clock went off. Mr. Noisy's alarm clock sounds like no other alarm clock in the world. It sounds more like a fire engine. Mr. Noisy woke up. And so, too, did all the people who lived in Wobbletown, which is at the bottom of Mr. Noisy's hill. Later that day, Mr. Noisy decided that he had to go shopping. He went out of his house, shutting the door behind him. The door wobbled. The house wobbled. The whole hill wobbled. Wobbletown wobbled. Even a bird flying high wobbled. Then Mr. Noisy walked down the hill. He walked into the baker's shop.
I'd like a loaf of bread,
boomed Mr. Noisy to Mrs. Crumb, the baker's wife. Mrs. Crumb trembled and sold him a loaf. Then Mr. Noisy walked along the street to the butcher. He walked into the butcher's shop.
I'd like a piece of meat,
boomed Mr. Noisy to Mr. Bacon's butcher. The baker trembled and sold him some meat. Afterwards, Mrs. Crumb met Mr. Bacon in the street. We really must do something about Mr. Noisy being so noisy, she said. Definitely, cried Mr. Bacon. But what? I know, Mrs. Crumb. And she whispered into Mr. Bacon's ear. Mr. Bacon smiled a small smile, which grew into a broad grin. Mrs. Crumb, he said, I think you've got the answer. The following day, Mr. Noisy again went shopping down to Wobbletown. He went into Mrs. Crumb's shop.
I'd like a loaf of bread.
I'm sorry, what did he say? Asked Mrs. Crumb, pretending not to hear.
I'd like a loaf of bread.
Noisy shouted. Oh, I'm sorry, said Mrs. Crumb, putting her hand to her ear. Will you speak up a bit, please? I'd like a loaf of bread, roared Mr. Noisy.
I can't hear you,
Cried Mrs. Crumb. Mr. Noisy gave up and went out. Mr. Noisy went into Mr. Bacon's shop. I'd like a piece of meat. Mr. Bacon pretended not to notice. I'd like a piece of meat. Mr. Noisy shouted. Did he say something? Asked Mr. Bacon. I said I'd like a piece of meat, roared Mr. Noisy. Beg your pardon? Mr. Bacon. Mr. Noisy gave up, went out, and went home, and went to bed. Hungry. The day after, Mr. Noisy tried again. He went into Mrs. Crumb's shop. I'd like a loaf of bread. A what? Mr. Noisy started shouting at the very top of his voice. A loaf of... Then he stopped. And he thought. And then he said quietly, I'd like a loaf of bread, please, Mrs. Crumb. Mrs. Crumb smiled. Certainly, he said. Then Mr. Noisy went into Mr. Bacon's shop. I'd like a piece of meat. Did you say something? Asked Mr. Bacon. Yes, I did, shouted Mr. Noisy. Very, very top of it was. I said I'd like a... Then he stopped. And then he thought. And then he said quietly, I'd like a piece of meat, please, Mr. Bacon. Mr. Bacon smiled. My pleasure, he said. So, carrying his bread and meat, Mr. Noisy set off home up the hill. And then he stopped. Then he thought. And then do you know what he did? He tiptoed. A tiptoe was something that Mr. Noisy had never tried before. It was fun. And you know something? From then until now, Mr. Noisy isn't anything like as noisy as he used to be. And you know something else? People of Wobbletown are delighted. Especially Mrs. Crumb, Mr. Bacon. And you know something else? Mr. Noisy has learned how to whisper. Mr. Impossible could do the most amazing things. For instance, he could jump over a house. Impossible. And Mr. Impossible could make himself invisible. All he had to do was to stand there and think about becoming invisible, and he became it. Impossible. And Mr. Impossible could fly. All he had to do was stand there and flap his arms about, and off he flew. Impossible. He lived in an impossible-looking house. Have you ever seen a house in such an impossible place? Of course not. One day, he was out walking in the woods when he met a boy called William. William was on his way to school. Hello there, said Mr. Impossible. Hello, said William. I'm William. I'm Impossible. Really, said William. Sure am, smiled Mr. Impossible. Could you do impossible things? Asked William. Haven't come across anything I couldn't do. William thought. Can you climb up that tree? He asked, pointing to the biggest tree in the wood. Oh, I can do better than that, replied Mr. Impossible. I can walk up that tree. And he did. William thought again. Can you stand on one hand? Yeah. Well, I can do better than that, replied Mr. Impossible. I can stand on no hands. He did. Huh. That's impossible, cried William. Sure is, cried Mr. Impossible. Then William remembered that he was on his way to school. Why don't you come with me? But I've never been through school before. Well, it's time you did. Come on. William and Mr. Impossible sat at the back of William's classroom with the other children. The teacher came in, but didn't notice there was somebody extra in the class that morning. Morning, children, he said. I have a very difficult sum for you today. It will take you most of the morning to work out the answer. He wrote the sum. It really was the most difficult sum William had ever seen in his whole life, full of adding up and taking away, and multiplications and divisions, and other things William didn't enjoy. The teacher was right. It would indeed take up most of the morning to work out the answer, if not most of the afternoon. Well, Mr. Impossible whispered in William's ear. William put up his hand. Yes, William? Teacher, there's something about the sum that you don't understand? Please, sir, said William. Is the answer 23? Teacher, very, absolutely, totally, completely amazed. How did you work out the sum so quickly? It's impossible. Ain't nothing impossible, mister, said Mr. Impossible from the back of the class and stood up. Well, never did, said the teacher. After that, Mr. Impossible spent all day at school. He showed the teacher how he could read a book upside down. That's impossible, said the children who were watching. Yes, sir, said Mr. Impossible. Then William asked Mr. Impossible if he'd like to play in the school football match. Sure would, cried Mr. Impossible, but I ain't never played football before. You know what he did? He kicked the football so high into the air that when it came down it had snow on it. Impossible. Then it was time to go home. Mr. Impossible said goodbye to all the people at school, and then he said goodbye to William. Goodbye, Mr. Impossible, said William. So long, said Mr. Impossible. Just disappeared. William rubbed his eyes and went home. William's mother and father were waiting for him. Hello, William, they said. You have a good day at school? Yes, he replied. And I met someone who can do anything in the world. Oh, really, William? They both laughed. You're impossible. William smiled. Went inside. And 100 miles away, a small figure was listening to what William's mother and father were saying. And then he went to sleep, standing on his head. And we all know that that is downright impossible. Yes, sir. Mr. Lazy lives in Sleepyland, which is a very lazy-looking and sleepy-like place. Birds in Sleepyland fly so slowly they sometimes fall out of the sky. The grass takes so long to grow, it only needs cutting once a year. Even the trees are lazy-looking and sleepy-like. Do you know what time everybody gets up in Sleepyland? The answer is they don't get up in the morning. They get up in the afternoon. And incidentally, this is what a Sleepyland clock looks like. Everything takes so long to do, there's only time for 4 hours a day. Anyway, this story starts with Mr. Lazy being fast asleep in bed. In Sleepyland, they call that being slow asleep. He spends rather a lot of time in bed. It's his favourite place to be. He opened his eyes. Yawned again. Went back to sleep. Later, Mr. Lazy opened his eyes again. Yawned again. Went back to sleep again. Much later, Mr. Lazy got up and went to make his breakfast. We say breakfast, although really it was tea time. He put the kettle on to make some tea. Kettles take 2 hours to boil. Sleepyland. Then he toasted a slice of bread. Bread takes 3 hours to go brown. Sleepyland. Toast never gets burnt there. While he was waiting for his kettle to boil and his bread to toast, Mr. Lazy went into the garden of Yawn Cottage, which is where he lived. Sat down on a chair, and you can probably guess what happened next. That's right. Yawned again. Suddenly, he woke with a jump, which is something that doesn't happen very often to Mr. Lazy. And the reason he woke with a jump was because of the noise. Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! The 2 men stood. I'm Mr. Busy, said one of the men. And I'm Mr. Bustle, said the other. Come along now, said Mr. Bustle, busily. We can't have you sleeping all day, added Mr. Busy, bustling Mr. Lazy to his feet. Who are you? We're Bustle and Busy. Come along now, we're all day. But, no time for buts, Mr. Busy. Or ifs, added Mr. Bustle. There's the wood to chop, and the beds to make, and the floor to clean, and the coal to get, and the windows to polish, and the plates to wash, and the furniture to dust, and the grass to cut, and the hedges to clip, and the food to cook, and the clothes to mend, added Mr. Busy. Oh, dear, groaned Mr. Lazy in daze. The wood to clean, the beds to get, and the floors to cook, and the coal to cook, and the windows to make, and the plates to mend, and the furniture to chop, and grass to wash, and the hedges to dust, and the clothes to clip, and you have he'd got it all completely wrong in such a daze. Then Bustle and Busy set Mr. Lazy to work. Chopping and making and cleaning and getting and polishing and washing and dusting and cutting and clipping and cooking and mending. Not to mention all the fetching and carrying. Poor Mr. Lazy. Now, they said, when he'd finished, it's time for a walk. Off they set on the longest walk Mr. Lazy had ever been on. Mr. Lazy is one of those people who never walks when he has a chance of sitting down, and never sits down when he has a chance of lying down. But this day, he had no choice. They made him walk for miles, miles and miles, until he felt that his legs must be worn right down to his body. Poor Mr. Lazy. When they arrived back at Yorn Cottage, Mr. Busy said, "Right, now for a run."
Oh, no.
When I blow this whistle, Mr. Bustle, Mr. Whistle, you've got to start running. Fast as you can. Added Busy. Mr. Lazy groaned a deep and closed his eyes. Mr. Bustle put the whistle to his lips. Went the whistle. Mr. Lazy, poor Mr. Lazy, started to run, but his legs weren't getting him anywhere. He opened his eyes and looked down to see why. And the reason his legs weren't getting him anywhere was because he was sitting on a chair in the garden. And there was no sign of Mr. Busy or Mr. Bustle. It was all a terrible dream. The whistle was the whistling kettle boiling in the kitchen. Mr. Lazy heaved a sigh of relief. And then he went into the kitchen and sat down to have his breakfast and to think about his dream. But you know what happened next, don't you? Right. Wake up, Mr. Lazy. Wake up, wake up, wake up. It was a lovely summer evening, and in Crosspatch Cottage, Mr. Grumpy was at home. He sat down in an armchair and picked up a book. And then, do you know what he did? He tore all the pages out of it, every one. Mr. Grumpy can't stand books. He has a shocking bad temper. In fact, he's quite the most bad-tempered person you can imagine. Grumpy by name and even more grumpy by nature. The following morning, he was out in his garden pulling up flowers. He couldn't stand pretty flowers growing in his garden. When out of the corner of his eye, he saw a figure. It was Mr. Happy. "Good morning," said Mr. Happy. "Good," said Mr. Grumpy. "What's good about it?" "What?" said Mr. Happy. "But nothing," went on Mr. Grumpy. "Get out of my garden." "I beg your pardon," said Mr. Happy. "You heard me," snapped Mr. Grumpy. "Go away." "I say," laughed Mr. Happy, "you're a bad-tempered fellow." Grumped Mr. Grumpy. "And," went on Mr. Happy, "bad-tempered fellows need to change their ways." "Rubbish," retorted Mr. Grumpy, and went into his cottage, deliberately stepping on Mr. Happy's foot as he passed him. "Oh, oh, oh!" said Mr. Happy. Bang! Went the door of Crosspatch Cottage, as Mr. Grumpy slammed it behind him. Mr. Happy stood there, looking not quite so happy as he normally does. His foot hurt. He thought, and thought, and thought some more. Then he had an idea. He smiled and went to see Mr. Tickle. Mr. Happy told Mr. Tickle of his idea of how to get Mr. Grumpy to change his ways. And Mr. Tickle grinned the sort of grin that goes from ear to ear. That is, if you have ears, which he does. Oh, he grinned, rubbing the hands at the end of those extraordinarily long arms of his together. That sounds fun. That afternoon, Mr. Grumpy went to town shopping. He walked into Mr. Meat's shop. Mr. Meat was a butcher. "Give me some sausages," snapped Mr. Grumpy, "and be quick about it." Poor Mr. Meat, who was frightened of Mr. Grumpy, did as he was told. But as he was doing as he was told, something appeared through his shop doorway. You know what it was? It was an extraordinarily long arm belonging to... Well, you can guess who it belonged to, can't you? That extraordinarily long arm of Mr. Tickle's came in through the door, across the shop, up to Mr. Grumpy, and tickled him. "Ow!" squeaked Mr. Grumpy in alarm, dropping his sausages and looking round to see what had happened. But did he see anything? He could not. Grunted Mr. Grumpy, and picked up his sausages and went next door to the cake shop. Crash went the door of the shop. "Give me a cake," snapped Mr. Grumpy, "and hurry up." Poor Mrs. Fairy, who sold cakes, was frightened of Mr. Grumpy, so she did as she was told. But as she was doing as she was told, guess what happened? "Oh!" squeaked Mr. Grumpy, dropping his cake and his sausages. He just could not understand what was happening. And the same thing happened at Mr. Daly's, the newspaper shop, and Mrs. Humbug, the sweet shop, and at Mr. Bottom's dairy, and at Mr. Pack's, the grocer. It went on all afternoon. And all afternoon, Mr. Grumpy kept being tickled. Dropping his shopping, picking it up and being tickled, and dropping his shopping and picking it up and being tickled, and dropping his shopping and... He just couldn't understand it. On his way home to Crosspatch Cottage, he met Mr. Happy again. "Hello," said Mr. Happy. Having a nice day?" "Get out of my way," snapped Mr. Grumpy, "before I kick you." But almost before the words had passed his lips, that extraordinarily long arm of Mr. Tickles had appeared from behind a tree and tickled him yet again. He jumped in the air and dropped all his shopping yet again and fell over. Mr. Happy looked down at Mr. Grumpy lying amid a jumble of sausages and cake and newspapers and sweet milk and cornflakes. I think he laughed that if you were to change your ways and not be quite so bad-tempered, quite so often, this sort of thing might not happen to you quite so often. Grunted Mr. Grumpy. He picked up all his shopping yet again and went home to Crosspatch Cottage. But on his way, he did think about what Mr. Happy had said, because he very definitely did not like what had happened to him that afternoon. Mr. Happy and Mr. Tickle laughed and shook hands. And so after that, Mr. Grumpy did try not to be quite so bad, quite so often. The more he tried, the less he found he was tickled. And so he tried more and more. And these days, he's quite a changed person. Why, only the other evening, he picked up a book, and you know what? He only tore out one page.